Today I'm going to show you how to fillet a fish. I'm going to be filleting a couple fish today, a trout here and a beautiful Alaskan wild king salmon. These are two fish that I have a lot of recipes for in my book Good Fish, and this is both are types of round fish. So this technique that I'll be using is good for other round fish, and there's many ways to do this. I'm just going to show you my technique. So this is the technique that I like to use for round fish. Other types of round fish would be trout, like we mentioned, Arctic char, sardines, mackerel, that kind of fish. The first thing I like to do is take my knife and I'm going to hold it right behind the fin here, and this is where the collar of the salmon is. I'm going to make a cut going straight down to where I feel resistance from a bone. Okay? Right when I feel the resistance from that bone, I'm going to turn my knife sideways, make sure it cuts through there. Turn my knife sideways until I hear that little click with the bone. I'm going to put my hand flat. You can use a towel if you'd like, but I like to kind of feel the fish. And as long as I hear that sound, I'm cutting through the rib bones, and that's a good sign. My knife is parallel with the spine. I'm going to cut all the way down the fish. Nice and slow. It's not a race. You want to be very careful. You don't want to leave too much meat. And I'm going all the way down the fish till I get to the tail, and that's where I take my knife out. If you've done that right, you flip the fish open and you'll have a perfect fillet. And the way that you know that it's a perfect fillet, you see I left a little meat on here. You know, in an ideal world I would have gotten my knife a little flatter there. I left some meat, but you want to see nice white bone all the way through. And this is an example. We saw that in another video on how to determine fresh seafood. We saw that some of them, if you pressed it, it would stay depressed. This is a perfectly beautiful fresh piece of fish here, and you can see that there's absolutely no gashes or tears or depressions or anything. This is beautiful salmon fillet right here. So to continue filleting this fish, this is again just my technique. There are a billion ways to go. I take my filleting knife, I'm going to make a little puncture right here underneath the spine, and I'm going to tip my knife upwards, and I'm going to come through the other side. Once I do that, I'm going to hold my hand flat on the bone. I'm going to cut straight across over to the right, releasing the head. Okay? Once I've released the head, I put my knife right underneath the head. Holding my hand flat so I don't cut my hand's always flat, I'm going to keep listening. And that sound is the sound that I'm cutting bone. Okay, you need a very sharp knife for this. And I'm going to go all the way, keeping my knife parallel as possible, all the way down to the end. Okay? At this point you can flip the entire skeleton off the fillet. And to show you my error here, could have gone a little bit closer here, and you see a little bump here, which I would try to work on next time, but hey, no one's perfect. So here, once again, you want to see this nice white bone here. Good news is that you can take a spoon, and you don't want to waste any of this meat. So you take your spoon, and any meat that you've left on here, this can all be made for salmon cakes, okay? So you don't want to waste anything. So I'm going to take a spoon to all of this, mix it up with some, shallot and breadcrumbs, a little bit of egg, and then you can make a little salmon cake for it. Okay, so now we have two beautiful fillets here. And I'm going to show you how to continue to work on these fillets as soon as I clean up my board here. Okay, so I have a nice half a fillet of the Alaskan king salmon. I want to show you just how to clean it up once you've taken it off the whole fish. So you'll see this is the belly side. This is really the fattiest, tastiest portion of the salmon, which of course as a chef I cut off and eat for myself. And then this is the other side, which is where the fin is. And well, actually there's little fins all around, but this is the biggest one, and we're going to cut that out as well. So first we need to trim off all these little bones here, and I'm going to make nice clean cuts all the way, holding my hand flat here and just try and get underneath all those bones in one long smooth cut. Okay, we're just going to keep going through and cutting. And again, you can use that spoon to cut any of the meat off of here, so you're not wasting any of the meat, you're just getting the the bones off the fillet. Your fishmonger can do this for you, but it's nice to know how to do it in case you wanted to do it yourself. Okay, once I get to this part, I kind of make a cut with my knife here to get around that fin. And then I'm just going to cut this whole strip off the salmon right here. Okay, so now this is basically it's boneless on this side right here, except for the pin bones, and we're going to talk about that in another video. At this point, I want to take off the rib bones right here. So I'm going to take my knife, they're very large, I'm going to get the tip of the knife right underneath where those rib bones are. And the same thing, I'm going to make a nice, steady, long cut all the way down. And sometimes I have to turn the fish to make this a little bit easier for me. So again, I'm making this very slow, long cut all the way down, trying to leave as much meat on the fish as possible. The curve on the tip of this knife is what makes it a good knife to do this. It's just kind of going along with the shape. Once I get down here, I'm going to cut off that tiny fin at the bottom to release that area. I want to leave as much of this wonderful belly meat on as possible. Just have to be patient. As I get closer, I start to release it. From the fish. This is the collar. Kind of crunch through there. Now you have a beautiful fillet of salmon, and this part is beautiful just to roast. You can trim off the fins. This is what might be called a butcher's cut, because it's the fattiest part. And this you can just rub with a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper, and roast this. This is going to be a delicious part of the salmon. And here you have your fillet done. Next I'm going to show you how to fillet a trout. Very same procedure, just on a much smaller fish. Alright, so now we're going to fillet a trout, which is basically the same exact procedure, it's just on miniature scale here. I'm using a slightly smaller boning knife with a little bit of flexibility. I'm going to do the same cut that I did before on the salmon, which is right behind this first fin. I'm going to cut through right here, all the way down, turn my blade, holding my hand flat, and cut all the way through, waiting to hear that sound of the ribs. Then you have a fillet of trout here. Same like with the salmon, I'm going to poke a little hole right there, come out this side, cut the head off right there, turn my knife, and cut all the way down the bones here until I get to the tail. Okay, just like with the salmon, take my knife, I'm going to cut off these bones that appear on the top, all the way down, one long cut. Same over here. I'm going to release, take one nice long cut to get these little tiny rib bones out. Most people will cook trout whole, so they don't have to do this filleting process, which is a good idea, but in case you want to not deal with the bones of a trout, it's nice to know how to do this. And now you have two basically boneless fillets of trout. The only thing left to do is remove the pin bones if you'd like, and I'm going to show you that in another video.